President Biden addressing tensions between the United States and China yesterday, meanwhile, in his speech at the United General Assembly. Watch what he said.
When it comes to China, I want to be clear and consistent. We seek to responsibly manage the competition between our countries so it does not tip into conflict. I've said we are for de-risking, not decoupling with China. We will push back on aggression and intimidation and defend the rules of the road.
Yes, he's been consistent calling China a competitor instead of an adversary. He also made no mention of Taiwan in his speech this year at the UNGA. Fox News' White House correspondent Jackie Heinrich asked National Security Council spokesperson John Kirby about it yesterday. Watch.
I did not hear a specific mention of Taiwan in the president's speech. Why was that?
I think what you heard from the president was a pretty fulsome explanation of how we're looking at the broad challenges around the world, and in particular the Indo-Pacific. Taiwan is certainly an issue that is tense. It's an issue where we don't always see eye to eye with the PRC. He's made clear our position on tensions across the Taiwan Strait and how we don't want to see that devolve into conflict.
Joining me right now is Vice President of Foreign Policy for the Heritage Foundation, Deputy National Security Advisor under President Trump, Victoria Coates, back with us. Victoria, good to see you. Thanks for being here. How would you assess the Biden speech to the UN General Assembly yesterday regarding China?
Yeah, it was a real missed opportunity, because if you kept playing that tape, he's saying that he wants to cooperate with China, he wants to get along with them as best he can, and then segues right into his main focus, which is climate. And he refers to climate as an existential threat to humanity, and that's what we all have to band together and combat. And he thinks he's going to get some kind of deal with the PRC on this. So that's what he actually cares about. And if you change the words climate and China, it would actually, the speech would have made some sense. But as it stands, I mean, the president just sounded detached from reality.
Yeah, I mean, it's just amazing to me that over and over again he calls China a competitor when the actions coming out of communist China are so aggressive against the United States, including a surveillance program on American citizens, that surveillance balloon, bullying our Navy in international waters, the cover-up of COVID, no accountability there, and he refuses to call China an adversary.
No, and so again, they're just detached from reality. And don't forget about the Chinese nationals who are trying to get into our sensitive military sites. I mean, this is just outrageous. And you were talking about John Ratcliffe's op-ed, the recent one in the Wall Street Journal, about the sort of search for the origins of COVID. We're very proud to have him at Heritage this year as a visiting fellow. He's chairing a bipartisan commission to get to the bottom of this. So there are Democrats who are interested in actually exploring the culpability of the PRC for COVID. But that certainly doesn't seem to be the president's focus.
I mean, the CIA and its behavior over these years in terms of the politicization of the agency is just beyond. Beginning with the Russia collusion story, the made-up lie that John Brennan and Clapper, James Clapper, were pushing at the head of the CIA, and now to this op-ed that John Ratcliffe writes about, that they were actually paying CIA agents to change their story on how they saw COVID and the origins there. John Ratcliffe, by the way, will be our guest on Friday to talk more about this. But I want to get your take on House Republicans on the Select Committee on China and the House Homeland Security Committee. They're demanding that the administration provide information on this report from the Wall Street Journal earlier this month, which found that Chinese nationals have accessed U.S. military bases and other sensitive sites about 100 times in recent years. In almost all of these cases, the Chinese nationals reportedly posed as tourists. The committee wrote a letter to the Department of Homeland Security, FBI, and Defense Department yesterday, Victoria. And we've been talking about it all morning because it's up, the numbers up 1,300%. We just spoke with Mark Green, the chairman of the Homeland Security Committee, and he, too, said that this is all a plan by Xi Jinping. Send military-age people from China in, and eventually they become saboteurs. Here's the chairman of the committee just with me 10 minutes ago. Watch this.
Border security, it's our greatest national security issue. I mean, you mentioned that, I think in your monologue at the start, 18,000 Chinese nationals. The highest it's ever been before that was like 1,200.
Wow.
And this is a planned thing from China. I mean, there's no way it's not.
Victoria, Gordon Chang was with me earlier in the week. She said, yeah, China is preparing to go to war with the United States. What do you think?
They're preparing to go to war with us, and we're trying to get a climate deal with them. That just sort of sums it up. And I think, you know, the southern border, the passages through sort of loopholes like Puerto Rico, obviously China is taking full advantage of this administration's policies to bring these people in. But what's really outrageous, Maria, is why does Congress have to request this information? Why isn't the administration sharing it freely with our duly represented our duly elected, representatives from states like, say, New Mexico, where these activities are going on around our national labs?
Yeah.
You'd think that the administration would want to share this with Congress, would want to work with Congress on it. Instead, we only get it when they demand it. It's like they have something to hide.
Yeah, exactly. And, you know, Todd Pyro, jump in here because I keep asking the question, what does Beijing have on Joe Biden?
Because instead of saying we need to decouple, which is what people have said on this program ever since I've been joining you folks here on this panel, you have Joe Biden saying, no, we don't need to decouple. You have a number of elites in the financial world continuing to fund the CCP and ultimately their military. Can we ever fully counteract China and defend our nation if these unpatriotic forces, Joe Biden to Maria's point, the financial elites of this world, to my point, if they don't participate in what we need to do?
No, Todd, I mean, you're 100% correct. And the irony here is China has terrible internal economic problems of its own right now. It has a terrible demographic problem that it can't solve because it's basically murdered half of its citizenry with the one-child policy over the last 50 years. And this is the moment the United States should stand strong. We should play to our strengths and push on their weaknesses and get this situation resolved instead of playing nice with them.
Yeah, great point. And to your point, yeah, these Chinese companies in index funds and all of these passive investments, some of those Chinese companies are actually sanctioned already, Victoria. And they're still in these index funds, and investors are still buying them, in effect, funding the expansion of the CCP. This is a story we're going to keep a spotlight on, and we appreciate your input. Thank you, Victoria.